to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday. Today we're going to dive into a concept that probably many of us are fairly passionate about in our personal lives, but also probably far fewer of us have actually brought it into our businesses as of yet, and that is sustainability. I have to say, it really, during the show, you'll hear it. It just organically reminded me of Lenora DeMars of 910 Design. Lenora started out as a podcast listener and then met her at real live events. And of course, I just want to say, hi, Lenora, how are you? And she has since become my good friend. Lenora has built her business around sustainability. She designs with healthy homes, air quality, and safe environmental practices at the forefront of her work, right? It's a business that she's built on passion, responsibility, and conservation. And I do know that there are others of you out there who are already in this direction, and even more still that are moving in this direction. But the truth is that it is a niche, and for the most part, it is largely unfilled at this point. And it is one that you might think about paying attention to. Now, my guest today, Susan Inglis, is the Executive Director of the Sustainable Furnishings Council. This is a coalition of manufacturers, retailers, and designers dedicated to raising awareness and expanding the adoption of environmentally sustainable practices across the entire homes furnishings industry. And I have to say, when my other friend, Andrew Joseph of Andrew Joseph PR here in New York City, reached out to me with this idea, I was intrigued, right? We're living in a world where being green is certainly expected, and the awareness and the concern around environmental practices is growing. But I was not at all ready for Susan. This woman is amazing. The organization and what they're doing and to the level of what they're doing is insanely impressive. And I'm very excited to share with you today that Susan is here to tell us the many benefits of educating yourself on sustainable home furnishings, about the power that you hold in terms of the global environmental impact, and what you can do to exercise this power in a positive way that both builds your business and has that positive impact on our world. And before we dive in and hear about Susan and the Sustainable Furnishings Council, I want to say thank you to one of our show sponsors, Kravet, who happens to be a member of the Sustainable Furnishings Council. Not only is Kravet working on a positive, sustainable impact, but they are also committed to innovation and technology that helps make life easier for you as the interior designer. Their website makes finding quality home furnishings even easier than before. With the redesign, you can quickly access all of the tools like your account settings, price lists, current and past orders, and more. The product has also been enhanced to offer more tailored results to get what you're looking for quicker. Now, I know that Kimberly and Jessica at Window Works are sourcing more and more online because of the whole COVID and distancing and just how busy we all are, right? So really good search engine on a manufacturer's website is critical. And we all have to say that when we have to search on Kravet.com, we know that it's going to go quicker, faster, easier, better. Okay. So if you have not signed up for your own design trade account yet at Kravet, go to Kravet.com. All right. And if you already have your trade account, don't forget your one-time coupon code of AWBD10. You can get 10% off any one order of Kravet wallpaper, fabric, or trim. All right, now let's hear what Susan has to teach us about sustainability and how it impacts you as an interior designer. Hi, Susan. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hello, LuAnn. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm so happy to have you with us too, Susan. You have come to me and talked to me and pitched me on the idea of this podcast about the Sustainable Furnishings Council and how important it is in our industry. And so just get us started. Why do I need to care about this? Why are sustainability issues? I'm not saying they're not, but I'm just for
Right,
anybody listening who's sort of like, whatever.
right. Well, there are actually fewer and fewer people who are thinking, well,
Right?
whatever, because more and more of us are noticing this climate crisis thing is
Mhm.
happening and noticing other sustainability issues. But here is why it's important to you and all your many listeners. The interior design industry is in a very powerful position, and individual design businesses are very powerful in addressing problems that relate to our environment because they influence the choices that consumers are making, and they influence the choices that manufacturers make. So when a designer is talking to a client, a designer has the opportunity to point out that this product is not only beautiful and comfortable and fits perfectly in the space, but also is made in a manner that does not inflict undue harm on the environment, which will make that client happy, especially when it is not polluting the world, it is not polluting the inside of that client's home. And that, as many of your listeners will know, is very important to clients these days. So there's the skinny of it.
And so what I heard in there is a twofold reason for to understand this and at least give serious consideration to getting behind it. Is the one is the greater global community, right? Climate change and all of the things, and how as an industry, of course, we are, it's true, we're specifying. If none of us would specify the wrong stuff and all of us would specify the right stuff, that's a huge shift in what
Mm-hmm,
happens in the world. But I heard the
mm-hmm,
secondary thing there is that in addition to the global effect of non-sustainable furnishings and toxic furnishings,
mm-hmm.
it's also the individual effect in each of our homes, the things that designers specify. Is that what I'm hearing as well?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'd suggest you also hear in that is if the client is going to respond positively, this is good for the designer's business. So a designer can build his or her business by knowing more about eco attributes and environmental impact in design projects.
And so what happens now? We have the Sustainable Furnishings Council.
Uh-huh.
And is this what is this? Is this a website that we just get information? Is this a group that we put our hand up and say, I want to be a part of? Like, give us a little bit more, background on that.
Yeah, okay. It's actually a website that is available for everybody to use anytime, sustainablefurnishings.org. But Sustainable Furnishings Council is a membership organization, and our members are companies that are involved in the residential furnishings industry in various ways. So members include interior design firms, also stores, retailers, large, medium, and small, also manufacturers of all manner of furnishings products, and suppliers of materials that are used to make those products. And importantly, our members include large conservation organizations. World Wildlife Fund and Rainforest Alliance were very helpful as we were getting started 15 years ago and remain active with us today. Um, it's important to me, LuAnn, that your listeners know that each of the nearly 400 Sustainable Furnishings Council member companies have made their own public and verifiable commitment to sustainability and to transparency and to continuous improvement. We as an organization help them fulfill their own commitment. So we are helping them realize their own vision, which varies. There are 400 different commitments among the 400 different member companies. And the fact is, the planet is in so much trouble that as far as we're concerned, every company needs to start where they are and go forward. And we are happy to help.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that as a brand, say a vendor, a resource, let's take Cravit, for example, one of our sponsors. If I'm correct, Cravit is a member of this, right? And so what you're saying is that maybe, and I don't know this to be true, now I'm talking, suppositions here, but maybe it's the first day that Cravit decides we're going to join the council and we're going to be a member because this matters to us. And you have X amount of criteria and X amount of places where a company or brand, or like you said, a manufacturer, a designer, a retailer, a supplier can be transparent about their initiatives for sustainability. And if today's my first day, coming in without changing any of my policies, I might check off 3 of those areas. Hey, we do this already. But there might be 20 areas that I strive for. And with the guidance of the council and the peer membership, we as a member learn how to check off more of those boxes. Is that correct?
Precisely.
Nice.
Precisely. You've got it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And so then as a designer, I can go, if this is very important to me or it's important to my client, I can go to the membership site. Now, can I access the information about these brands and retailers without being a member? Can I see what they are doing or no?
You sure can.
Okay.
So each member has what we call a landing page on our website. So, and on our home page, you can look for dining room furniture. You can put dining room in the search, and up come all the companies that sell dining room furniture. And you can click on the company name, and that takes you to their landing page where you see their best practices agreement. And as you said, not every company is implementing all the best practices, but that's fine. And they update this best practices agreement every year when they renew. Every 12 months, they'll renew and update it. So you do get a current snapshot of what the company is doing, and you can see improvements from, if they've been a member for over a period of time, you can see, last year they changed the light bulbs in their warehouse, and we know that saves a lot of energy because light bulbs the different choices in lighting use a surprising variety of quantity of energy,
So interesting. I'm sorry. So what you're saying is that it's not just the sustainability practices that they employ when they create the end product that I might buy from them. It's their sustainability practices as a footprint as a company in the world.
Exactly. Exactly.
Interesting. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's smart. You're smart. You're a smart lady. Because bully for me that I make a textile that is sustainable, but I'm running a factory with smoke coming out of it 24/7, right? It's like kind of a contradiction there, right?
Right. And all these things are interrelated. If that fabric is going to have a small environmental footprint, it has to do with many things. Most of it has to do with what it is made of. 80+% of the environmental impact of any product comes from what's it made of. So the fiber in the textile is important, but how it is made is important. Where the energy is generated to that runs the factory where it's made, how many chemical inputs there are in the production process, all that stuff, and where it is made is important. Is it made in the same country as where the I mean, it could be that it is a curtain that is pretty much all fabric, but it could be that it's an upholstery fabric. So, is the fabric made in the same place where the piece of furniture was made? And is that the same place where the consumer is? You know, all these things are part of the environmental footprint of that product.
Hmm. So that's funny. So what you're saying is that, yeah, part of the footprint of a product is that I order a piece of fabric, it gets shipped from, the UK or from California, and it's got to come to me by plane, train, or automobile, and then it goes to my upholsterer, and then it's like 1,000 delivery trucks. It's funny because
Yep.
Kimberly just 2 days ago, she said to me, the designer that works for me at Window Works, she literally just said to me, and she's so right. She said, I had somebody say to me, that seems like a lot of money for a Roman shade. Can you lower the price? And she said, and Lou, she goes, I looked at the person and I said, I really can't. And we went back and forth. And she goes, and I drove away from the appointment. And she said, and I said to myself, I literally counted the number of people that will handle that Roman shade, that process before it gets to you. She's like, no, on one hand, she was making the point of how much goes into that simple Roman shade. On the other hand, now we're seeing the carbon footprint of, all the things that happen too, right?
Exactly. And of course, everybody making that Roman shade has to not only cover their costs, but also make a nickel for themselves. And every step has its own set of energy expansion. So and of course, whenever you're using energy, you are generating carbon dioxide emissions. So there is something in each step. And one of the cool things about realizing this fact is our supply chains are extremely complex, but our relationships are very, very important. So in those many hands touching that one product, if one link in the chain says, I'm making a commitment to lower my CO2 emissions, I'm going to change the light bulbs in my warehouse, they have the opportunity to share that news up and down their supply chain, inviting their vendors and their even their customers, really, but inviting everybody else to also take whatever is an easy first step to reduce CO2 emissions, because all of us can do a little bit of something. We know this in our homes, but all of us in our companies can do a little something. And when one of us does something and is loud about it, shares about it, it helps others be inspired and can also give others good practical ideas of what should be easy for them.
And I love the way that you describe that, because we do need those 9 different, companies' hands touching that Roman shade to get it to our end consumer. But if each one of us is consciously trying to do what we can, then it does have an effect on the overall end product of being delivered in a less damaging way to the planet, right? Yep. Love it. I love it. I love it. So the thing is there evidence that consumers care about this? So, maybe designers, are going to be like, yay, this is important to me. But through your work with the Sustainable Furnishings Council, is there good, hard, factual evidence that consumers care?
There sure is. We have been doing consumer research since 2008. So it's a longitudinal study, and we've done it almost every year. And our 2021 survey report has just come out. And it's made available free to all our members, and we sell it to others. But I will tell you, I'm happy to make it available to your listeners
Oh,
for a
thank you.
limited time or
Thank you.
something. We're happy to make it available to them. Here's what we learned when we started doing research in 2008. We learned that half of all furniture consumers, and these are people who've bought some kind of furnishings products over the previous 12 months. So they're all real consumers of the products that we are and the services that we're selling. We ask them how concerned are they about the range of sustainability issues. In 2008, half of them were. Now, 100% of them are concerned about every single issue we throw at them at the 90% or more level. So 90% of them are concerned about extinction of species, are concerned about global warming. 94% are concerned about poor indoor air quality, etc. And toxic pollutants in the waste stream is actually the thing that they are most concerned about. 97% of people are concerned about that. And so, yes, people are concerned. So we ask them, well, what are you doing out of your concern? Are you taking action? They're taking action. And it's doing the easy things. Back to what we've just been talking about, doing the easy things, recycling at home, using more energy efficient light bulbs when they change their lights, finally remembering to take their shopping bags with them, etc. They're doing the easy things, but that does include buying products that they consider eco-friendly. And so we ask them about various products that they might have bought: cleaning supplies, paper products, light bulbs, etc., and clothes and linens and furniture. And furniture has been always way down there. The thing they're buying the most of is cleaning supplies and paper products. Why? Because they are right there, clearly marked on the same grocery store aisle or in the same section where they're shopping for cleaning supplies, and then they see, oh, this one is less toxic, I'll take it,
Right.
And that is not the way we present furnishings products. Only 35% of them these days identify that they have bought eco-friendly furnishings products. So we ask them, well, why haven't you bought them? You're clearly concerned, you're clearly taking action, and clearly includes how you're shopping. Why haven't you bought eco-friendly furniture products? And most people say, is there such a thing? I had no idea. They are simply not aware. They are not aware of any. And so that means that the interior designer, again, it is in a position of great power in being able to tell clients what the eco attributes of one piece of furniture over another might be. And this is important because 97% of the consumers we've surveyed say they would be very interested in buying environmentally safe home furnishings if, of course, they like the style and the cost is within their budget. All of us go shopping with whatever our taste is and whatever our budget is. But given that it meets those criteria and is eco-friendly, that's the one we want.
It's so true, right? Because you only know what you know. And
Yes.
when you go to the grocery store, there it is,
Yeah.
paraben free and this, that, and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, right? But when we go to shop for furniture, if it's not told to us, and maybe, and of course, there are people who are more aware and more committed and more involved. And so, therefore,
Mm-hmm.
they are probably asking questions, but the scales haven't tipped to that being
Mm-hmm.
the biggest part of us, right? Of our
That's right.
society, right?
Yeah, yeah. But the biggest part of us are interested and concerned. So it is anybody who is talking to consumers, selling products or design services should be mentioning these things.
It is it is a great avenue for different. I can't say this word. I never could say this word. It is a great avenue to set yourself apart as a different, as a differentiation,
Exactly.
right?
A differentiator.
There's
It
that
sure
word.
is. Yeah. And for interior designers specifically, we have asked about uh, how interested consumers are in working with an interior designer who has eco expertise. We happen to teach a course called Green Leaders that certifies a person as expert in this area, 6 hours, 6 CEUs, and lots of information. And so we ask on a survey, well, consumer, how interested would you be in working with a person who has this kind of expertise? And 2/3 of these days it's 2/3 of them who would be interested, but it's also 6 out of 10, which is about 60%, which is about the same amount, who have never heard of such a thing as an
Mm.
environmentally safe interior designer, for instance.
So 6 out of 10 consumers would like to work with a
Hmm.
designer who has the expertise in this area, but 6 out of 10 have never heard of an interior designer that has
Exactly.
this expertise.
Exactly. So it is a huge, there is a huge opportunity there. Yeah.
Right. I love it. And of course, I'm thinking of Lenora. Lenora is committed to this
Hmm.
910 design out in California.
Hmm.
And we know
Yeah.
that there are others. Okay.
Yes.
But, it is an opportunity. And so an interior designer can join the SFC.
Hmm.
And then once they're there, that's where there are courses and projects and things where they can, up their knowledge and all of that.
Hmm. Yes. And I'll clarify that membership in our organization is for companies. So 910
Oh,
Designs is a member.
okay.
And our course, Green Leaders, and other information that we offer is for industry professionals. So Lenora herself is a green accredited professional, having taken our Green Leaders course, and her company is a member of our organization. And we offer discounts if you do one first and then the other. And we don't require that you do both, but you do get the most information and the most return on your investment when you do both, because we promote members, and consumers do come to our website looking for products and services.
That's so funny. I didn't realize that you would know Lenora, and I brought her up.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Now I know
She's
that she's committed to it, right?
she sure is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And so I
Yeah.
love this. And so here's the thing too. Lenora's firm leads with this. This really matters to her, right?
Yes.
But it
Yes.
doesn't. You don't have to lead with it. You don't all of a sudden have to be known. Just like we talked about any of the individual companies that join, and they're like, okay, this year I changed the light bulbs. Next
Hmm.
year I, did this, and the third year we made a big move. It's like just
Hmm.
being aware of the things that are available to you as a designer to specify, to
Hmm.
make it part of your repertoire, part of your conversation, and part of your offerings. Because when to the point that there's 6 out of 10 consumers looking for someone to do this. So if
Yeah.
you talk to it here and there, and you do have the language and the education behind you so that you can deliver, on the promise of that about this, that's a great way to get the foot in the door,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. And, like with anything else, the first step is often the most significant one you take. So I really, really encourage people to start with whatever is easiest for them for a start, because you're going to see it makes a difference. You're going to get excited. You're going to be inspired. You're going to want to make more changes and improvements within your operation. And especially in the case of designers, you're going to want to learn more and more, because you're going to see the significance of the information you're garnering and sharing with your clients.
I love it. It's just like your to-do list. Like some people like to
Yeah.
check off the easy things first. I like to check off the hard things first. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we can keep going. Let's roll through this, right? So you get a little success under your belt, and
Yes.
you do what you can, and you learn, and you see how it positively impacts you and your
Yeah.
relationships with your consumers, and ultimately your profitability. I love it. And
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
Truly the main goal is helping the planet. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, Susan, how did you get involved in this? So you're the executive director of the council. So this means this is your job, this is your livelihood, this is your passion. But I also know that you've been the executive director since it started. Like, tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I will tell you. I became the executive director because I showed up at the first meeting of the organization. So really, I need to tell you why I happened to show up there. So I grew up in a family that makes things with our hands as hobbies for fun, and also a family that values stewardship. And I grew up out in the country. And so environmental stewardship is sort of what I have always lived and breathed. And when I grew up and it was time to make a living, I started making things. So my first business was a sweater business. The time came for me to make a living when my marriage to my children's father ended, and they were little, and I was already bound and determined to be an at-home mama. And so I didn't have enough sense to go get a job. Rather, I thought, what can I make? and I started making sweaters, and invited everybody I knew to come over and see them, and they bought a bunch of them, and I thought, oh, good, I've got
Tupperware for
here.
Sweaters, right? Tupperware.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Well, it did grow from there, and and eventually I was doing production through an economic development program in West Virginia, which was providing income generating opportunities to women in remote areas of West Virginia. And through that, I got the opportunity to, through people knowing people,
relationships, right?
Through relationships, I was invited to go to Nepal to work with artisans in a very remote area, the Makalu Barun Conservation Area of eastern Nepal, where there is a unique fiber, the nettle plant, which many designers among your listeners will know as a warp thread in Nepali rugs. It's like a linen. It's a retted fiber. It's a very strong fiber. Well, I was sent there as a volunteer with a colleague to see about developing product for U.S. markets. Well, to get there, we flew to a remote airport and walked for 3 days.
Whoa.
And this was right up my alley. I've already told you, I grew up in the outer doors. And also, I had studied anthropology at university and am very interested in other cultures. And I'm actually very interested in industry transformation because of that work I've done in anthropology, or that study of anthropology so long ago now. But, it stays, remains pertinent. Well, in Nepal, uh, we developed product, but it was very clear to me that the real challenge was more than anything else in getting the product out. And I felt like, well, gosh, I've just got to do this. And so um, I placed an order right then and there for placemats made out of this nettle fiber. And they arrived about 6 months later. And so I began to switch my business from sweaters to home textiles. And with the knitters in West Virginia, began to do pillows and sofa throws, and did from placemats expanded to baskets and other things with the
Wow.
artisans in Nepal. And that is what took me to High Point Market. To with this line of decorative accessories, mostly textiles, and that was in the about 1994. Um, and so the business grew from there to include not just working directly with those artisans, but working as a consultant with artisans around the world to get their skills and products to new markets. And by 2006, I was doing a lot of work in Latin America and placing a lot of work as a broker in the furniture industry. And so I heard about it when Jerry Cookland called a meeting in his showroom to talk about whether we might start an organization that might be called Sustainable Furnishings Council. And I showed up because this is of interest to me. And it turned out that his main thing in that meeting was to say, I think this is a good idea. I don't have time to implement it. Who will help me? And so I raised my little hand. I wasn't the only one, but several of us put heads together and got the thing going then in 2006. And we were fully incorporated early in 2007. And so now are celebrating 15 years.
Wow. What an amazing journey. I mean, and I'm going to be so Jersey on you right now, Susan. If anybody wanted to underestimate you because your West Virginia accent, like they need to rethink some things, right? Like, that's so crazy, right? Isn't it true that look, there's things that I have experienced being underestimated with before, and it's because of my accent or because of this or because of that. And it's crazy. Here you are, you're like, I needed to support myself and my kids. Then I went to Nepal. Then I did South America. Then I went to High Point. Then my goodness, what a like amazing lady you are.
Well, thank you, but you are, and every woman is. Every woman you have ever interviewed is doing what it takes to support her family and to do it without compromising her own values. That is just something we do.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of guts to keep taking the next type of steps that you took. That's what I'm saying. Let's not underestimate. I'm going to go to Nepal and I'm going to get off in a remote village and I'm going to walk for 3 days and then I'm going to place an order. I'm going to bring it back home. Then I'm going to switch all the ladies. No more sweaters. Now we're doing like it's really inspiring. It's amazing. And the thing is, it's where that intersection, right, of all of the things, I say all the synchronicities line up. Like you said, it was the way you were raised to be outdoors and to appreciate
Yeah.
the outdoors and to appreciate the handcrafting. And then, of course, you put into it the driver, the need. I've got little mouths to feed. We've got to
Yeah.
make this work, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so crazy. And then like, oh yeah, I love that line. Wanted to know if we had interest. He wanted to know if we'd run it. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So
Yeah.
now you've turned this into with your colleagues. I hear that there were
Yeah.
other people involved, of course.
Yeah.
But you've turned this into this industry leading council with all of
Yeah.
these resources. And are some of the people involved the same people from that initial meeting all those years ago, Susan? Or, oh,
Yes.
really? Oh, cool.
Some of them are. And of course, there's been a lot of change. Some of the people aren't alive anymore. Some of the businesses aren't around anymore, but absolutely, some of them are still there. And we call those companies founders, and the founders are marked on our website. So, right at that first meeting, there were about 50 people in the room. And one of the things we decided to do was call a meeting. That meeting had been in September, so we decided let's have a meeting at the Fall High Point Market to get this thing off the ground, and we did. And there were about 75 people there. And once we were incorporated, almost 50 companies joined immediately. And
Wow.
by the end of that year, we had 100 companies, and now we've got almost 400.
Wow.
And it's hovered around 400 for the longest time. Yeah,
Okay. Well, we got to change that, right?
I
We need
know.
more.
We need to. Yes, we really do. And I know that there are 10 times that many companies that have the commitment and are actually doing things within their operations, but we really do need to put our energy together because of the urgent situation on our planet. And we are a global manufacturing industry, so we are getting materials from one continent, processing them on another, making them into something on another for consumption on yet another.
Mm.
Huge transportation footprint. Lots, I mean, your Roman shade might go across all those continents itself. Um, and certainly your sofa is likely to go across, or with all its elements, is likely to go across many continents. And we add a lot of value to the materials we use, particularly to the wood that we use. And, all that huge transportation footprint I've just described is resulting in a lot of carbon dioxide emissions. What is the best way to absorb carbon dioxide? With forests.
Mm.
Healthy forests are the most efficient way to address the climate crisis, really. And so all of us need to be stewards of the forests of the world. And we in this industry, though we are smaller than the construction industry, for instance, have a lot of say in how wood is chosen. And so that is one of the very specific things that we work on here at Sustainable Furnishings Council. Another way in which our industry has an outsized footprint is in the quantity of chemical inputs in all the processes in our very complex supply chains. And so we need to be mindful of that. There are just 5 of them out of the tens and thousands used in consumer products in general. There are just 5 of them that are very common in furnishings, and we can address that. They're very common. They're in most of our products, but there are just 5 of them. So we can begin to be asking whether they're there, whether there's an alternative, et cetera, and really make a difference.
So what you're saying in that is there's 5 common chemicals, and we need to start asking, do they need to be there? Can you take one
Yep.
of them out, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you what they are, because this about taking one of them out, they are not necessarily all five in any given product,
Mm.
though all five of them are commonly used in textiles, for instance. So they include VOCs, like formaldehyde, that is those volatile organic compounds, things that off gas, VOCs, and formaldehyde is the most common one. um, Flame retardant chemicals, PFAS chemicals, which are used in stain repellents and stain treatments, antimicrobials, and PVC or vinyl, which is our most common plastic in the world. And each of these are persistent in the environment and linked directly to harm to human health and, of course, other life on the planet.
Wow. And so, what is it? Is it just take years and decades of conversation for people to finally just have enough voices, enough, almost like I can't escape the word herd,
Hmm.
mentality with the middle of COVID
Hmm.
here. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
talking about herd immunity, right?
Hmm.
So herd
Hmm.
mentality on enough. Like I won't buy
Hmm.
this if it. Well, I have to say, you know what? You're right. It is that because, um, 5 years ago, I would not have had I would had not ever had a customer or client say to me, does it have off gases? And I remember 2 years ago we were going to do a carpet runner, and we don't do a lot
Hmm.
of carpet runners, but every once in a while a direct to consumer, and we're doing enough work for them, and it just makes sense. We have the trade
Hmm.
resources, yada yada, and but the whole conversation was, I don't want any carpets with off gases, blah blah
Hmm.
blah, and I was just like,
Hmm.
what the heck is an off gas? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes. Yes. You had to learn about those volatile
yes.
organic compounds then. Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so I'm
Yeah.
walking into the trade resource going, apparently I can't have a smelly rug. Like, do you have one of
That's it.
those?
That's
Oh,
it.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's a lot, but I think that, for designers, you have the website where you can see the brand partners and the manufacturers and
Hmm.
the suppliers that are making their strides year to year. As you said, their growth
Hmm.
is there in their initiatives. And then you mentioned when we were talking about Lenora, the Green Leaders
Hmm.
course. So
Hmm.
this is one of the opportunities for a designer who's listening, who is like me. Well, what makes it not smell like, right? Like I need to
Hmm.
know more in order to talk about it. That's one of the courses. And just refresh me. I need to sign up
Yeah.
to be a member. I can
Yeah.
just do this. What's that like?
Yeah, you can sign up to be a member, for your company to be a member, and you will get educational resources in addition to those that are available to everybody on our website. We do a free monthly webinar series, third Thursday of every month, that's free for everybody. They're recorded. Everybody can go and access those. But if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's when you will be interested in joining us as a company, so you can learn more and so you can get the attention you deserve for implementing more best practices. And if you really want to get the overview of information and have an accreditation linked to that, I suggest you take our Green Leaders course. It
Mm.
is a 6 hour course. And these days we're teaching it online, and it is recorded so you can take it at your own pace. It's 6 hours, it's six CEUs through IDCEC, and for lead accredited professionals through GBCI. So if you are a lead AP, you can maintain
Mm.
that accreditation with this continuing education. It gives you an overview of what is the sustainability stuff, what does it have to do with us in this industry, gives you lots of questions to ask, answers to look for about products, about processes, about design projects, about waste reduction. And it includes a sales module, so you can put all of that together and do your job better and grow your business.
So good. Now, what does it cost to become? What I've heard a couple of times you're saying is one is to be a member as a person, and another is to be a member as a company.
That's right. One is to become accredited by taking the course as a person, and the other is to become a member as a company. And the cost of the course Green Leaders, through which you become accredited, is $300, $299, and you get a 25% discount if your company is a member of Sustainable Furnishings Council. And the cost of becoming a member depends on the size of the business. So for most, well, it depends on the size of the business. It starts at $275 for 12 months for the smallest businesses, those doing under $500,000 a year in sales. And it goes up to $3,300 for 12 months for the largest businesses, those doing more than $150 million a year in sales. So you can hear that it is a good deal for everybody. There's 7 different price breakdowns. It's not expensive for anybody.
Right. I love it. I love it. It's you know what? It is the wave of the future. Like if you it's almost like I don't know. It's almost like 10 years ago if you're saying, I'm not going to have a Facebook account, right? and or your
Yeah.
Instagram account. It's like, that's not going to matter. This matters. And your research shows that it matters to consumers. And even if right now we're randomly hearing the consumer request it, they're accustomed to having it in their other areas of their life. And even if 6 out of 10 of them don't know that it's a thing in the interiors industry, that's going to change because people are smart and it matters to them and they're doing research. And so even if it's like, to me, I remember when motorization became a thing with window treatments, going back 10 or 15 years ago. And I didn't want to do it. It was complicated. It was, you had to meet with the electrician and I had to have Billy on every measure because I didn't know what the heck I was talking about. And, all the mistakes that we made in motorization. And it just became, look, you can't be a window treatment professional out here if you're not going to learn this. And now motorization is like 4 out of 5 jobs are motorized. You know, it just is so different. It was 1 out of 25 jobs, and I kicked and screamed having to learn the technicality of it, right? And now it's, like I said, 4 out of 5. And so this is sort of the same thing, right? It's like maybe you're interested, maybe you're not, but as a responsible business person, and also as somebody that wants to be relevant, if you want to be a relevant business designer, designer who doing business, then this is your responsibility to learn this, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think that all designers have to keep up their education to maintain their license in their state or their standing in the design societies. Everybody has to keep learning. And you're right. This is the area where people really need to have education these days.
Yeah, because this is, it also in this way reminds me of motorization too. You're not flubbing your way through this.
Right. It's true.
You switch that button. If that shade doesn't move, you're not pretending to anybody. And it's the same with this. You can't say that something is sustainable or it has a lesser footprint or any of the things if it's not legit, right?
Exactly.
It's people's health. It's their environment. It's all the things. It matters.
And it's a liability for a person or a company to make an eco claim that they cannot back up. And the Federal Trade Commission has guidance on that, known as the Green Guides, where you can say this is an eco-friendly product, but you must be able to say why you are calling it an eco-friendly product. You must, after that generalization, say, well, it's made from 100% recycled fibers or whatever the attribute is.
Right. I love it. So interesting. Is there any aspect of it, Susan, that we left uncovered, or do you feel like we did the topic good justice?
I think we've given it a good overview, LuAnn.
Good.
I do want to be sure that your listeners know that when they go to sustainablefurnishings.org, they can learn more about the What's It Made Of initiative on that tab. And it has tools that anybody can get involved with using, whether they're a member or not. Another useful tool that they'll find is the Wood Furniture Scorecard, where we have assessed retailers on their wood sourcing policies so that we know they're not inadvertently deforesting the forests of the world. Because most companies in our industry, of course, try to do the right thing, but with complex supply chains, it is difficult to know that not a stick of that furniture came out of a forest that should have been left pristine. And so we support companies in having policies and in implementing those policies well. And there's information about that on our website, as well as, of course, information about how to get involved as a member or by taking a course that we offer.
I love it. I love it. And last question. Do you have a presence at High Point? So if a designer is listening and they want to come and meet you or just learn more, you do. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Our office is in the radio building on the 4th floor of the radio building in High Point. And pre-COVID times, we would always have several seminars going on and would have display area also in Suites at Market Square. And we have about 100 member companies that exhibit at High Point. So we frequently are doing things with our members in their showrooms. And we publish a guide, the Guide to Green at High Point Market, which helps designers and others find those members. Here in the COVID era, we are going to be in our office. So come and see us in the radio building, 4th floor. And we are publishing the guide, but we're publishing it electronically as we did in the fall. And we are not planning any large events for this June High Point Market, but we are planning events for the fall High Point Market, including the announcement of the results of the 2021 Wood Furniture Scorecard and a Green Ribbon Awards that we launched last year with a virtual event. And also we have our annual membership meeting in the fall, and everybody is invited to that. And we hope that COVID will continue to diminish and that we can actually have a party to celebrate 15 years. But we are, of course, completely committed to being COVID safe. And so we're not going to have a party if COVID is still around.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, it's little by little starting to open up everywhere you go, everywhere you hear. So there's an end in sight. So hopefully by October we'll experience a little bit of more normalcy at High Point, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I sure hope so.
Me too. Well, this was amazing. I really enjoyed learning about this, Susan. I mostly enjoyed learning about you as a person and your drive and your passion and the way that you have taken all the factors of your life and put them all together, and you're living in your superpower every day, and you're making such a big effect on the rest of us. It's so nice and cool and inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you. It does make life fun to follow the way that opens. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you again for being with us.
Thank you, LuAnn. I'm delighted. It's really been a pleasure for me. Thank you.
My big thanks to you, Susan, for an absolutely amazing conversation. From one of the most inspiring stories I've ever heard to a truly solid business that's offering something that we in the world really need. Susan, you are undeniably a #smart lady. And what Susan and the Sustainable Furnishings Council are doing here, and more importantly, what it has to do with you, is about so much more than just your own environmental concern and passion, right? Of course, this is part of it. And I've often mentioned on the show the importance of sticking to your own personal core values, whatever they may be, in your own business. Okay. So if you're listening to this episode and this all strikes a chord with you, the emotional chord, right? The one when you're listening and you're hearing, you're thinking, duh, this is what I need to be doing. Then take a page from Lenora's book and lead with this in your business. All right. Now, the truth is that none of us can afford to ignore what Susan is talking about here, right? Maybe you don't want to be the next 9-10 design and bring this forward as the primary focus of your business, and that's okay. But I'm going to bet, ignoring this trend full on is a big mistake. 6 out of 10 consumers are interested in hearing from designers who can provide them with information on environmentally safe and sustainable furnishings. That's a huge chunk of the consumers that are going to be in the design space, right? And right now, that same percentage of people feel like they don't have someone to turn to fill that need. All right. But guess what? That's not going to take forever. Clearly, this is a demand that consumers that care about. And so it's not going to go away. So the question today becomes bigger than, do you want to build your business around sustainability? And if the answer to that question is yes, then that's wonderful. And you can absolutely step up and fill that niche, differentiate yourself and thrive in that area. But even if the answer is no, the real question then becomes, do you want to stay relevant? Okay, because if the answer to that question is yes, and it probably should be yes, then you need to pay attention to what's happening here, right? We're all resistant to change in our business. I mentioned to you during the show that this reminds me of when motorization came out. I did not want to do it. It used to go on a sale. It was easy. Measure the blinds. You want a lift cord? You want a cord loop? Like whatever. And now all of a sudden I got to meet with the GC and the electrician and the AV guy. I didn't want to do it. But in order to stay relevant, I needed to lean in and learn it and just back up and take a breath because, as I said, it is so much part of the window treatment industry now. You know that, right? So this isn't going anywhere either, okay? And before long, it will be, I think we're looking at the turning point for you as designer, right? Consumers aren't going to wake up tomorrow and care less about the environment. Okay, they're going to learn more about what it means, about its role in design, and about which designers can provide the services that they're looking for. Okay, and of course, again, you don't have to lead with it. It doesn't have to be the center of your business. But just like us in the beginning with motorization, it was like, if you asked, I said yes. Okay. And then it became, oh, we're pretty good at this. Let's put that out there. Okay. So you can take that approach in the beginning. Just be aware, learn, educate yourself, maybe become a part of the Sustainable Furnishings Council, and just don't say no. Don't close a door. Right. And of course, Susan has this great resource to help you learn the ins and outs. Okay. Because this isn't something you can fake, just like motorization. You're not faking that stuff. Okay. If you're going to embrace the idea of environmentally sustainable furnishings, you have to learn what it means, what companies are providing it, and how to communicate to your clients and to your vendors regarding these. Okay. And that's exactly what you can learn through the Sustainable Furnishings Council. You can go to sustainablefurnishings.org and poke around for free. You can learn about the companies that are on the forefront of this, vendors and manufacturers that are actively working in this area, what they're doing right, and what you can offer your clients who are interested in this. All right. And if you're ready for more, then you have other options. You can choose to take the Green Leaders course and become certified so that you can become a designer that those 6 out of 10 consumers are looking for, the one with the knowledge and the expertise to guide them to beautiful furnishings that fulfill what they need for their aesthetics and what they want as far as environmentally safe. All right. Or your firm can become a member of the Sustainable Furnishings Council, where you can continue to educate yourself and strive towards doing better, being better, and contributing a positive impact into the world. I really love that Susan said it's not necessarily about making huge changes off the bat, right? That sounds a little like daunting, Okay. Overhauling everything that you do overnight to make your company sustainable just seems a little impossible, right? You have lights to think about, vendors to question. You have to think about your CO2 emissions and whether your business recycles and what you can do to reduce your paper trail and all the chemicals and all the things. It's a lot. But like Susan says, the first step is the most important step. The first step is what gets the ball rolling and builds the momentum for the future of your business. And education is always a great place to start. And that's why Susan is offering you her 2021 Consumer Report for free for a limited time. So if you're listening to this way in the future, this may not be available. But if you're listening to it now in 2021 and you are interested in it, this is valuable information that's going to help you get to know what your potential clients are looking for. Okay, so that you can fulfill the needs that they are going to be out there shopping for, and possibly sometimes before they even realize it themselves. So you can get this report by going to sustainablefurnishings.org/LuAnn, LuAnn, sustainablefurnishings.org/LuAnn. It'll be in the show notes too, okay? You know you can click on your phone and it goes right to show notes, right? I didn't know that for a long time, so. All right. I'm not saying you want to change your business overnight, right? Everything in design is changing now. Things are happening, but I do think that Susan makes a great case. This is one of those major shifts that does come around and changes things. Think back when Pinterest or Instagram came out and became a thing. It's sort of like, oh, right? Some people knew it right away and some people didn't. I think this is one of those things that 5-6 years from now, it's going to be the language of the industry, okay? So make the decision to be ahead rather than chasing, right? Take advantage of the opportunity now. You can decide to jump in now and educate yourself. You can decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.